Okay, I have the 446 pack set up here. This is a job for a customer. I'm still waiting on the vent for it. But anyways, I have it hooked up like it'll be hooked up on your car. Your vacuum line that feeds the outboard carburetors is this one over here that goes into the body. This one here is ported vacuum in the metering block that is used for your distributor vacuum advance. So this has to be plugged onto the tit that goes into the body. Then it comes out and you got a T-fitting, and then each one's going to go to the vacuum pod tit that's here and also on the front. So this is your source to initiate the outboards, and also where this gets its vacuum signal from is there's a port down in here on this side of the carburetor. See if I can hook into it. Right there, I'm hooked into it. When the column of air runs through the carburetor, when the throttle's open, it'll create a vacuum signal which will transfer down these lines, and it'll pull a vacuum on your pods to open them. And then, like in the previous video, the linkage is what's going to allow them to open up when it gets to a certain point. Now also on these outboard carburetors, I'll hook into it, it has another port that's the same as the one on the center here. Let me get hooked into it. It's right on that side, and when these open up, the column of air rushing by will assist in pulling these full open. And that's where I was telling you, is if you have this vacuum hooked up and your link rod disconnected from those outboards, and you were to start revving the center carburetor up to where it's pulling a vacuum signal here, it's going to bring these outboards to wide open throttle. And even if you close the center without that link rod being on there, the column of air rushing through here is going to keep these at wide open. So like I say, anytime you disconnect that link rod, you want to disconnect your vacuum from the center carburetor. What I'm going to do now is, this is how I test the vacuum systems, is I've got compressed air, in a nozzle, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to open this center carburetor so I can, because right now I don't have the link rods hooked up on the other side. I'm going to open it up so the air will flow through, and it's going to get noisy, but watch, make sure you guys can see this. Watch the vacuum pod. Let's see if it can be in there. Move this back a little. You should be able to see the vacuum. This one will be easier for you guys to see. You'll see the vacuum pod pull up. So it's going to get a little noisy. You can see that going up. See, both of them are pulling up. Now I'll show you, even though, okay, so this throttle's closed, there's no vacuum coming down here, but this was already open and a column of air is rushing through. I'll show you how it'll keep these outboards open without that link rod to close them. See how I pulled that up? So when these are wide open and the column of air is rushing through here, these are going to stay open. if you don't have that link rod to close them when you close this center carburetor. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn around, I'm going to get the link rod connected and show you how it basically still operates with the link rod on there. Okay, I've got the link rod on, adjusted like I showed you in the previous video. You know, throttle's on its stop screw. The rods are adjusted so that, you know, this cam is all the way down in the bottom of its slot, just a little follower, and these rods go in to keep these outboards closed. And you know, when you're just operating the center carburetor, you know, it's nice and free. And then if I pull up on this vacuum pod here, you can see them rotate up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pass air over the center carburetor, like the throttle's opening up, air starts rushing in, it's going to start engaging these outboards. So it's going to get a little noisy again, but watch the link rod and how these outboards will open. I'm going to open the throttle up wide open. Now if you notice, when I got this part throttle, it's going to just allow them to open to a certain point. And then you close them. Like I say, that's the way you can on-car test your system. All you need is a compressor and a spray nozzle. But that's basically the setup, you know, A and B. First video I explained to you about, you know, the adjustments. This one we're talking about how these vacuum pods actually operate. And I'm going to say this for the last time. When you're operating this center carburetor solo, rods disconnected, disconnect this vacuum line from the center carburetor. There was a guy I knew that blew up his engine because he had these disconnected and he was adjusting the center carburetor and he was working the throttle and he got it enough air coming through, it activated the outboards. The outboards, when they started open, plus I told you that other assistant here, the column was grabbing them and yanking them closed. He runs in to shut the key off. Well, you guys all know what happens. That, you know, it doesn't take long for these motors to hit red line and beyond. So just keep that in mind. If you guys got any more questions, just leave some comments and I'll answer them.